Hello again, whiskey friends. My name is Jeff.
I'm Darrell.
All right. Hit that like and subscribe button as you come in for us here. Show us a little love because we're about to have a whole lot of fun. Well, why don't you give a little intro of what we have planned here today?
Oh, man. We got a special bottle, courtesy to our guy, Mr. Kelsey Dime. Blessed us with a sample of Michter's 20. I don't think you've had tasted Michter's 20 ever, correct?
So, kind of. There was a very questionable decision when I was at Whiskey Weekend Batch 4 in Louisville. Like, gosh, what was that now? 4 years ago? It was like first live event post lockdown and COVID. And it was sitting right there on top of a bar. And I was already all the way in. And I was like, how much is an ounce of that? And he gave me the price. And I was like, sure. And Dana didn't say no.
Well, I'm on the opposite end. Owned a bottle, had a good amount of one, but mine was from 2019. So I'm curious to see how different this one may be, being that it's, it's not 5 years older, but it's a 2024 version versus the 19. But do remember it being very, very, very good. So just seeing if this one maybe holds up to that. But I think it's probably going to be fantastic regardless.
So of this, there was only 1,000 bottles in this release. This is the 2024 edition, and Kelsey just got lucky enough to get his hands on one. Though if you did listen to Kelsey in a recent live, he was like, yeah, I need to cut back on the whiskey spending. Michter's 20 could be a reason for that.
Oh, man. This thing is just like taunting me on the side of my table, just looking at the color. I haven't even noticed. Look at that color though, guys. Oof. Looks even darker in your glass. Crazy. Sticky, sticky, sticky.
Yeah, before this, Darrell was like, are you going to pour half that sample? I was like, I'm pouring all the sample and I am just going to enjoy it. I'll enjoy it after this review. I'll enjoy whatever's left and just savor the experience.
I do got half of it, but I may end up pouring out of the half as well because I know this is probably going to be delicious. You ready to dive into the nose? Good to go.
Let's dive in.
Good, buddy. Thanks, Kelsey. Cheers to everybody out there.
Yeah. Thank you, Kelsey. This is awesome.
Oh, Lord.
114 proof, by the way, everybody, if you aren't familiar. So other than it being 20 years age shade and 114 proof, not many other stats on it.
Great. It's immediately got that like modern dusty vibe, but it's like sweet oak for something that's 20 years old. Like this is kind of what the other one reminded me of. Like you don't get, granted, I haven't tasted this one yet, but you didn't get like an over oak like sensation or anything on a palate of the one that I got. For 20 years, like sometimes that scares you on a bourbon, like, oh, it's going to be oaky. And no, man, like you got some sweet oak. It was lovely. It smelled like this on the nose. Oh, God.
I mean, it's definitely got those like shades of leather, shades of tobacco, but not over oaked. I think the thing that actually surprised me the most off the first impression was how much fruit I was getting off of this. I'm actually getting like a layer of banana on top of berries. Like I'm kind of getting both of those independently.
When I had first got my bottle, I did like a 3-way blind between a GTS, Heaven Hill 17, and this bottle. I mixed this up with GTS because of a dark berry note, similar to like a cherry note. I actually thought that this was the GTS and thought the GTS was the Michter's. And I was completely wrong. But it has, that dark fruit, man, like dark berry, which I got on the other one that I had as well.
Yeah.
That's lovely.
Gosh, I don't know if I have much else to say other than that. That is pretty awesome, though. It's almost finished to me. Like, I feel like if I had this blind, it's got so much fruit that I would probably be convincing myself if it was finished or not.
Yeah, some type of wine finish, I would potentially think, with all the berry that you get. This is just, I can just sit here and just nose this, man. But I can just sit here with my nose and it doesn't burn me out at all. It's just there's so much depth, tons of that oak, but just sweet oak. Doesn't overpower at all. And just all that fruit. It's like a little citrus right towards the tail end of that as well. Just
sometimes you get
brighter
from this old and it just kind of flattens it. And this doesn't. It's just got so much depth, as you said. That's like surprising.
It's almost like what do they call them? Sweet tarts, the pies, or like the little cakes that has like the shiny like kiwis and strawberries and blueberries. Like it's super condensed, and I'm getting like some of that citrus and berry right on the back of this on the nose.
Oh man, one image just popped in my head. It was of a wood fire pizza crust oven where it's got kind of like the flour on the dough as well, and it's just toasting and charring in that wood fire.
I'm ready to go in for a sip. I'm looking at these legs and I'm like,
man.
oof. I'm gonna take a small sip.
Cheers, buddy. Yeah, it's definitely 20 years old.
What's funny, you don't get really much of that oak on the nose. I get a decent amount on the palate, but I love oak. It takes something to be very, very oaky for it to rub me the wrong way. I'm not saying this is over oaked at all, but it surprised me how much oak I got on the palate, being that I didn't get much of that on the nose. Like you get hints of it, like you know it's old, but it doesn't come across as like old oak, like hidden behind like the fruits and the berries. But I don't get much of the berry on the palate. It is sweet though.
Oh man, on the palate, the berries come through for me. I'm actually getting a more defined blueberry. Like it's now putting me into that blueberry range.
So much for saving sounds. It's up 2 nice sips. I still got a decent amount there, but just gonna do it up, man.
Yeah, just enjoy it. The one thing that surprised me was how actually light it was on the palate initially. Like I was getting this huge blast of vanilla, and slowly as I let it sit on the tongue, I could feel the oak kind of permeate throughout. But initially, though, it didn't come across as intense as I thought it was going to from a flavor perspective. It was really just a whole lot of brighter flavors and vanilla until finally that oak came through.
Yeah, first sip, or actually each sip that I took so far, like it's super velvety, but as soon as you take the sip, or as soon as I took a sip, it seemed like the proof was like sub 100. Like I didn't get really any of the spice in the front and the mid of the palate. I let it sit at the back for a little bit, then swallowed and got some of that spice. But this one really doesn't drink its proof like the other batch I've had. And I only have one reference point, guys. That was just the 2019. I do remember that one drinking spicier. Not a bad thing on this by any means. Like I don't need it to drink like that. Flavors are similar, but I think the other one might have been a little bit sweeter. This is lovely. That nose though, the nose on this is just...
Honestly, now after taking a sip and going back to the nose is my favorite part.
Oh God. Like I nose it and I don't even want to drink it, even though I know how good it is.
I know. I'm like content with it, just with the nose. All right, I'm going to go in for another sip and then I'm going to put some scores down.
Oh, man.
So Darrell, what'd you grade this one in the end?
I got this at a whopping 90, guys. It's another 90 banger for us. I'm not sure exactly where Mr. Jeff is, but I would imagine he's somewhere in that vicinity because this thing is pretty tasty.
I'm
So
right there. I'm a little higher than you. I'm at a 92 for this one. I think the flavors maybe didn't live up to my expectations in some ways, gave it some 8s and 9s there, but the experience too, the complexity, the length of the finish, and the nose in particular is the perfect score for me.
Yeah, I can't agree more. Like, I just want to sit here and nose it. Like I said earlier, guys, as good as this whiskey is, like, you just want to keep putting your nose and smell. Be sad to see this little half ounce go away in a little bit, but it was definitely an enjoyable pour. I'll say that for sure.
So would you buy this again?
If I can find one at retail, I'm probably buying it. Would I go out and pay secondary again? Probably not. And the only reason I did in the first place, like, I had a lot of stuff to trade to kind of limit what my cost actually was, because these things get pretty crazy in terms of price. So secondary, it's definitely not worth it. Like, I don't think any whiskey's really worth that amount of money because they go for like, probably $4,000 now or something like that. But $1,200 being retail is still a bit of a stretch, but it's one of those whiskeys that you're going to want to try in your lifetime, you know, and if you get the opportunity to buy it at retail, you know, it's a bottle that you'll probably sit on for a bit, you know, share with the close friends that can really enjoy and appreciate what you have. But I think it is a bottle, if the money really isn't an issue and the cost isn't an issue, that it's worth a pickup at retail, in my opinion. What about you?
Oh, I was just imagining, you know, I'd have to paint the deck again, paint the house again, going through all the debt that I accumulate if I came home with a bottle of this. But if I did, it would be one to savor, enjoy with friends. Kelsey, thank you again for the chance to do this and giving us a sample of that thing. We really appreciate it, buddy.
100%. Jeez Louise.
All right. Any final thoughts on this one, Duro?
I just want to just hold it here and just keep smelling. No, fantastic whiskey. As expected for the most part. You know, like, I don't think they're ever going to come out with one that's not delightful. Will some be better than the others? They're batch, so I imagine so. But you're never going to be disappointed with having one of these, I think. Like, this is just some really good stuff. Unicorn whiskey, bucket pour whiskey, all of the above.
Well, thank you, everybody who got to hang out here today. If you got to try this, let us know what you think about it in the comments as well. And we'll catch you on the next one. Goodbye, bye.
Cheers.